You may have wondered why you see Parker using the paints he does. Why doesn't he just grab a bottle from a vast collection of ready-to-go hobby paints? Well, let's dive into the reason why Golden's So Flat Artist Acrylics are his favourite paints and why they might be fun for you to try too. The big main reason is that they just suit Parker's personal painting style, and they are great for creating one-off pieces of art. Parker has been doing commissions for well over a decade, and initially they were Warhammer armies. For this type of batch painting, having a selection of hobby paints makes sense. You know that when you run out of that particular red, you can go buy another bottle, and so long as they haven't changed the recipe, you know you'll have the exact same colour to match the armour in the rest of your collection. You have probably also heard me say in painting videos about him applying thin, gentle layers to build up the application. These paints are not fully opaque, so they suit his painting style perfectly. Let's hear from Parker himself to learn some more.
The other thing that's listed on here, that is something that you get to know a little bit from painting, is these squares. So we've got a few different examples here. The filled square, like this, means the paint is opaque, fully opaque, so this should have the strongest coverage. The blank one means that it's transparent, and then the half and half one means that it's semi-opaque. You do have the little sun on these, which is a light fastness, I believe. Resistance to light, resistance to fading. Most of the time it's 1, which I think is the best you can get. Some of them seem to be 2. I don't think this is a huge deal for the things that we paint. I think it probably relates a little more to painting on canvas and boards and things like that. What I would say is that all of these paints are very strongly resistant to sunlight and to fading, especially with the varnish that we'll put on them. We commonly put on the models.
In addition to this, he also values the matte finish of the paints. It's why they've won out over other brands he has tried in the past. Back to Parker again to explain why this finish is important to him.
While these paints have an incredibly nice matte finish, this is something that I value really, really strongly in my painting. Because I like to paint subtle shifts in colour and manual shading and manual highlights and all of this kind of thing, you know, doing OSL effects, stuff like that. You really want a matte finish for those kind of painting effects. If you're like me and you photograph and video your models and share them on the internet, the main thing that you don't want is additional light reflections from the surface of the model, because it becomes really hard to photograph them, see all the detail, see all the nuance of your painting. Even a satin finish is normally a little bit too much for me. I like a full matte finish. I can push ever so slightly into satin for certain effects and styles, but generally I want the matte finish.
The next reason that they're so important to Parker's painting style is that they are single pigment paints and perfect for mixing. What does that even mean, I hear you ask? Well, I don't know. So, Parker?
So these are the paints of choice. Golden So Flat Matte Acrylics. Firstly, looking over the bottle, you'll notice something that you don't see on hobby paints is the listed pigments. Generally, these are single pigment paints, so that means they have a focus on richness, consistency of colour, luminosity. They focus more on the reliability of the colour rather than, say, the coverage or accessibility. So this is important because many established traditional artistic techniques and mixes rely on these colors. So this is not like a proprietary thing. This is established pigments that are common across all ranges of paint, many of them dating back hundreds of years, really. So what that means is that you can use existing knowledge of paint and paint mixing to mix the colors that you want.
Well, there you have it. So Parker has always been an artist. Both his parents are very artistic, and his dad often painted models when he was growing up, things like motorbike builds. So Parker has been a part of this hobby since a young child. He has also dabbled in other mediums such as drawing, canvas painting, carding, digital art. If you name it, he's probably tried it. Due to this, he has a lot of experience with colour, and so it's important to him to know the pigments in his paints.
Turn these bottles around, it will list here the actual contents. And I know what these pigments are. PV is a violet, PV23 is a violet pigment, PW is white, you see on here, PR is red, PR254 is Pyrrole red, Bredone magenta, a mixture as well. You see there PR122 and PW6 is white, PR is red. I'm sure you can predict this. PB is blue, PB153 is phthalo blue. So I know what's in all of these paints. This is something that I don't believe you find in hobby paints. I don't want to say for sure. I haven't used every single one. I can't remember seeing that in any paint. Many of them will advertise themselves as single pigment, but in a lot of cases they don't give the pigment themselves. So what I find with my paint collection is I only have probably 35 colors now, I think, that I use, 35 of these. And I buy them based on the pigment. So if there's a pigment I don't already have, for the most part, that's a paint that I'm interested in. So as a complement to these So Flat paints, I also use Liquitex inks, because obviously these Liquitex inks are the same. And maybe this one's actually a bit of a mess on it. PV23. Oh, you'll have to take my word for it, because I've covered this one. PV23 is shared pigment with this one, PV23. So we know that these two colours share their main pigment. So in theory, if I mix this with PW6, which is white, I will get this colour. So that means that they're very compatible. If you take the example of like a hobby paint, here's a maybe an even better example. I mean, these are named the same, so you would think they're the same. But the simple fact even that they're named the same is something that sets them apart from hobby paints.
Now you may be thinking, but I can just mix my Vallejo paints together too. And yes, you can, but it's important to realise that it's not going to work in the same way as these Artist Acrylics. When Parker dove into canvas painting, this was something that he actually discovered for himself.
So this is why mixing hobby paints can be fine, and a lot of people do it, and I've done it for many years, but certain mixes of hobby paints just won't work. You will get things that you might think look compatible together. Like the reds is a good example, because there's two, on the face of it, can be quite similar colours. Because you don't know what pigments are in them, it's trial and error, and you might mix them together and realise they just don't mix the way that you think they will. And these hobby companies, they're incentivised to keep you in their ecosystem and encourage you to buy more paints. And instead of, mixing your own colours together, they would want you to buy more paints. And further to that, I do have a background in painting on canvas and mixing colours and everything like that. I don't know any of you watching this will have ever tried this, but I have tried painting canvases with hobby paints, and it doesn't work. Like, the colours are muted and muddy, and you just cannot get the same level of vibrancy that you get with these. And a lot of the reason of that is because hobby paints are blended to be easy to use and generally have good coverage, and they will want you to buy a different shade of blue for each blue that you want to use. In a lot of cases, the recommended process is to use one type of blue for a base coat, another type of blue for your main coat and layers, and another type of blue for your highlights. This is a completely different way of painting, a completely different approach, where you have a main colour and that you blend all of your other colours off of that.
Now Parker has kindly put together a quick colour mixing demonstration for me to show all of you, so I'm going to play that for you and let you see the process in action.
Right, so we're just going to look at a couple of these colours on the palette, explain a couple of things. So we have the phthalo blue green, that's what this is referred to. So it's PB153. Can I get a bit on the palette here? So this is the consistency of the paint. Let's just get a Bit of an older brush just to spread it around. You can see the intensity of the colour. Now this is a semi-transparent colour. It doesn't look, faded or watery at all. And the beauty of these single pigment paints is you can get any other colour and mix it with this and you'll have some sort of usable colour. Let's take a different one here. Bismuth Validate Yellow. I guess for the record, PY184, semi-transparent. You can see it makes this beautiful green colour, and you can mix anything with anything. Well, I guess red is going to make a bit more of a muted kind of colour here, but just as an example. Clean your brush properly. With an orange. And these are just the fundamental basics of mixing. One of the reasons that I like to use the Liquitex inks, particularly through the airbrush, not so much for brush painting, but they give a really strong injection of colour while preserving and sometimes even improving the transparency. And you see, mixing with the yellow there, you get virtually the same colour because it's the same pigments.
Now we understand why these paints suit his painting process, you will probably find yourself asking, well, how much are they? And that's a fair question. And in fact, the prices vary a lot. Since Parker knows that these are his paints of choice, he keeps all of the small tubs to go in the racks on his walls, and he has some of the larger tubs ready for when he needs to top up. Let's take a look at this light magenta colour as an example. So this costs £17.10 for a 118ml tub. For a similar comparison, I'm going to look at this light pink colour from Vallejo, and this costs £2.38 for a 17ml bottle. So technically, by the mil, they are basically the same price. However, if you wanted to get into using these golden paints, the upfront cost is quite a lot to take on. Parker phased his painting into these over the course of about a year, and he initially started with about 6, now he has about 35 in his collection. He also has some interesting insight into why when you're scrolling through the golden paint list, you're seeing a big range of prices. So let's hear from him one more time to explain why.
So not all pigments are created equal. Now I can't say that I'm a huge expert on the individual pigments and their value, but you will notice from learning a bit about pigments that some of these are, highly valued and well regarded pigments that artists like to use. Pigments such as PY84 and on the cobalt teal is PG50. These are known quality pigments for teal and yellow respectively. So part of the reason the prices of these paints fluctuate, this light violet, as far as I can remember, is significantly cheaper than these this yellow and this teal, because these paints are priced based on the pigment and they're not diluted to fit within a pricing model. They are priced based on the quality of the pigments. So these are more expensive because they don't compromise the amount of pigment to make the paint cheaper. So this is why you can rely on these to be very high quality paints, basically, because they are keeping the pigment density consistent. These expensive pigments are not diluted for the paint to be the same price as one here that has a less valuable pigment in it. So that's kind of a way that you know that you're dealing with quality paints.
If you are interested in trying these out, Parker has put a couple of lists together down in the description. This will help you get started without feeling like you need to match his entire collection. However, if you really want to know about every colour he has on his shelf, I have also left that spreadsheet down below too. We of course also have plenty of painting videos on our channel of him using these paints, so you can take a bit of a look at him using them in his models. Finally, I don't want the takeaway from this video to be that hobby paints are bad and you should never use them. They absolutely have a place in the world of model painting. Hopefully this has just given you all a bit of an insight into the variety of reasons Parker has come to love these paints for his models. If you have any questions and want to discuss further, do drop a comment down below or come join us in Discord using the link in the description. Thank you all for watching, and a special thank you to all of our patrons on screen. We really appreciate everyone's support, whether that be on Patreon or here on YouTube with a like, a comment, a sub. All of it is so helpful. We will catch you all in the next one.